Okay, so good afternoon, buenas tardes, and welcome to ACURIL's Virtual Health Libraries of the Caribbean Content Area Roundtable pre-conference session. My name is Ayaana Cumberbatch, and alongside me this afternoon is Ms. Niala Dwarika-Bhagat, co-chair, and we would like to welcome you to this event. Today, we are pleased to have two presenters. They are both from the Latin American and Caribbean Health Information Network, otherwise known as BIREME. They will be presenting this afternoon on the topic entitled Emerging Technologies and Innovations, Exploring Cutting-Edge Technologies and Innovations such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality, and their potential applications in virtual health libraries. Our presenters today are Dr. J.P. Souza and Mrs. Marcia Barretto. And just to give a little background as to our presenters, let me start with Dr. J.P. Souza. Dr. J.P. Souza is the new director of the Latin American and Caribbean Center on Health Sciences Information, otherwise known as BIREME. He is a medical social scientist whose main interest lies in the intersection between social epidemiology and the translation of scientific knowledge in health policies and practice. He has a background in obstetrics and gynecology and critical care medicine. And critical care medicine. He carries out postgraduate studies aimed at developing the concept of maternal nearness. He has published more than 200 scientific papers, works as a reviewer of articles, is a member of the editorial board of scientific journals and of advisory committees of funding agencies. He also advises master's and doctoral students in public health. Dr. Souza assumes the director of the center with the mission of consolidating BIREME as PAHO's evidence center for action in health. Mrs. Marcia Barretto is currently the coordinator of IT infrastructure at the Latin American and Caribbean Center on Health Sciences Information. With over 30 years of experience in IT, she has an emphasis on infrastructure and including project management, system development, and database administration. So before I invite these presenters, I would like to kindly highlight the following and ask of you to please keep your mics muted for the duration of the presentation. All questions will be answered at the end of the presentation, so hold your questions till the very end and make use of the chat box so that you can ask your questions. And now I welcome Dr. Souza and Mrs. Barretto to begin their presentations.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Yep.
if I may, could you please let the president say a few words of welcome? He's there.
Sure.
Okay, he came in.
Thank
I
you
didn't
so
see-
much.
No problem. Thank you.
Mr. President Eric Toussaint, the mic is yours to welcome this first conference area roundtable. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I was struggling with my headset. I couldn't pair. So it's a pleasure to welcome you all to this pre-conference of the content area roundtable of virtual health, which chairs Ayaana Alleyne Cumberbatch and Niala Dwarika-Bhagat. So I'm sure we're gonna have a very fruitful session with our two presenters. So let it begin.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And apologies, I was looking for you and I did not see when you came in. So thank you very much for your welcome.
My pleasure.
So Can we proceed with the presentation? Ms. Barretto and Dr. Souza?
Yes, sure. Thank you. Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So good afternoon again, and thank you for inviting us. We are very excited to present our vision on emerging technologies and innovations and their potential applications in the virtual health library. Next, please. In this presentation, we will talk about the Caribbean, the VHL, and BIREME in the context of health technical and scientific information, starting with a brief history and focusing on today with BIREME towards the 4.0 information industry, which means the digital transformation for BIREME and the VHL. Next, please. So, a brief history. As BIREME started with the LILAC's methodology to register the bibliographic data of technical and scientific documents produced in the Latin America and Caribbean region, almost at the same time, the MedCarib database and the network had begun. In fact, in 1989, with Laxmi-Mancin using LILAC's methodology and the participation of 17 Caribbean countries, the MedCarib database was created with data entered by the MedCarib network participants. It was published in the LILAC CD-ROM editions at that time, with interface in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. In 1990, a project was funded by Kellogg Foundation aiming to strengthen the MedCarib network as part of LILACs. And since then, the technical cooperation with the Caribbean continued, and we could not fail to highlight the importance of Ernest Greenidge, whose leadership was responsible for keeping MedCarib initiative alive. In fact, in 2012, it occurred a meeting of the English-speaking Caribbean countries at the 9th edition of the Regional Congress on Health Science Information in Washington, D.C. It was October of 2012, and it was very important because we had the opportunity to get together and start to think about a new way to work, a new way to start working. So next, please. So the idea of the English Caribbean started in 2013, right after that meeting in Washington, when Ernest Greenidge came to BIREME in a visit. And this idea has been matured and strengthened with technical cooperation activities with the Caribbean countries, such as the participation in the 10th edition of the Regional Congress of Health Science Information that brought together Belize, Guyana, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. And we had also activities for revitalization of MedCarib network with the FI admin training sessions, both face-to-face and online, and also the initiative of the CARFA Evidence Portal. And lastly, in November of last year, we had the opportunity to get together in a meeting face-to-face to identify the main milestones in the work plan to develop the Caribbean VHL. Next, please. Next, please. Thank you. So the Virtual Health Library completed 25 years in 2023, and it emerged as a model, framework, and strategy on scientific and technical information based on decentralized, collaborative, and networked work model of information management and exchange of knowledge in health. It was launched in March 1998 with the Declaration of San Jose during the 4th edition of the Regional Congress on Health Science Information, where the participants had the opportunity or had or made the commitment to cooperatively build the VHL to strengthen capabilities and infrastructures and to facilitate the broad access to information for the permanent improvement of the health and for sustainable human development of the region. The VHL contributes to the visibility, access, use, and impact of the health information. As technology advances, we must evolve together to keep up with the new ways of dealing with information. This is what we are going to talk about in the next slides. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia, and greetings to all. It's a really great pleasure for me to be here in this presentation, this event. Well, I'm going to be talking to you, building on the slides that Marcia has shared before, particularly in this journey where we are not only as BIREME, but I believe the whole field is advancing towards the digital transformation. No? So to start this conversation, I wanted to come back a little bit to what is BIREME. No? And as many of you know, BIREME is a unit, is an entity of PAHO, the Pan American Health Organization, and the World Health Organization, with a specific mission. But I like to say that we are a digital library specialized in scientific and technical output of Latin America and the Caribbean in the health sciences. And I like to say that we are a digital library because, in a sense, we are still doing the things that all libraries do, essentially providing access and facilitating the use of information. But how did we get here, and what comes next, which I think is the most exciting part of this conversation? So as a digital library, it's important to say we are still a library. And since the times that we start the tradition of libraries in Alexandria, for instance, and we take this memory of this institution as a sort of a beacon, as a symbol of knowledge dissemination and exchange in the ancient world that we are trying to keep alive in terms of tradition and the functions. And this historical model sets the stage still for modern libraries, emphasizing the universal desire for accessible knowledge. And I think that's the mission that we share, no? Enabling access to and use of knowledge. And this image of ancient library remains as an inspiration for all of us, and the ideal remains alive. But over the years, we have gone through many transformations, no? If you think of the history of library, there were many evolutions in the way knowledge was shared. And more recently, we are going through a mega trend of digital transformation. And if it's somewhat, we can pinpoint where it started. It's more or less in the middle of the last century with the invention of the transistor and the development of electronic digital computers, and which progressively has been evolved. And with the advent, with the new developments of the internet, we are going through this transformation in all aspects of human life. If you remember, the library catalogs went online, the collections became digitized, and the access to information grew exponentially. Important to say that libraries became more than just physical spaces. They evolved into digital portals to the cyberspace. And that's a sort of a futuristic way of looking what a digital library is. But if you think of what a digital platform such as a virtual health library, for instance, means and enables, is just that our ability to walk into a sort of a virtual space, a cyberspace, that allows us to connect to a universe of knowledge that before we didn't have. And but I wanted to build on this concept of a digital transformation. So it's important to realize that digital transformation is a global mega trend that is reshaping human interactions, culture, and all business of our societies. And this mega trend, we say it's a mega trend because it is happening despite of our wish. So it's like a big wave, no, that is taking the world. And if we don't try to navigate through this mega trend, we certainly may be left behind. And that's the sort of the concept that we discuss here when we bring, for instance, this concept of an industry 4.0. If you remember, and if you consider the information industry as industry in itself, there has been an exponential increase in information processing, in connectivity, in ubiquity of mobile technology, and also new machine learning developments that are forging this stage of industrial revolution, the fourth one. And this new ability of processing vast amounts of data and automate repetitive tasks, artificial intelligence is driving significant improvements in efficiency and productivity, enabling organizations to make better decisions faster and with greater accuracy. However, colleagues, due to the loss of competitiveness and also loss of sustainability, organizations that are disengaged from the transition to the Industry 4.0 face the risk of obsolescence and irrelevance. And I will give you some examples for the good and for the bad during this presentation. So when you think of a digital library today, let's think of our digital libraries that we have available and that we are implementing, for instance, as a virtual health library. These libraries, they are digital databases, and they portray digital information products such as e-books, articles, these PDFs and other formats, and also knowledge derivatives. They also offer online services, and that can be a variety of those depending on the type of the digital library that we are talking about. But essentially, we are still carrying the essential functions of a library. That means we need to build and develop and curate the collection. We have to index, we have to archive, we have to be able to search and retrieve the information that we have archived. With, again, the intent of enabling access to and use of knowledge. However, what is changing and what has changed if we think of how the libraries have been evolving? It started, let's say, in the 90s from the last century with scanning documents, then building the online catalogs, to the now incorporation of advanced information technology into the library operations. Particularly in the last 5 to 10 years, we are seeing the use of new technologies that has been accelerated in the last 2 to 3 years. Particularly the use of quantitative models, allowing advanced analytics and behavior forecasting. For instance, we are now much more able to determine patterns of use and also the preferences of services that could enable the personalization of services, of librarian services. We are seeing the development of large language models, allowing the use of natural language into library operations that are facilitating indexing, search, and retrieval of information. These are aspects of implementations of advanced technologies and machine learning, artificial intelligence technologies into the operations. But there is another aspect that I wanted to highlight, that is what I call the instrumental artificial intelligence. What is that? Some of these tools, such as the large language models and other tools, they are able to leverage the capacity of librarians and IT personnel to develop solutions. If you think of, for instance, coding, the way we build our digital solution is being transformed by the use of large language models. There are now applications that can accelerate and leverage the capacity of the developers to produce solutions much more rapidly and also with very good results. And in this sense, other technologies that are becoming part of the world of digital libraries, including, for instance, cloud storage and digital management systems that are becoming the backbone of digital libraries. Important to note that something that is very important in the context that we live is the importance of the user experience, particularly in the relationship with technology. So we are looking for much more intuitive interfaces and the use of natural language instead of control terminology and Boolean operators. That's quite interesting because in some user experience studies that we have done, this is something that has come up very frequently. And also, when we are now developing new products, many partners are coming with specifically this request to us. So an intuitive interface and use of natural language, which is something that we see, for instance, when we look at general databases that we interact with, for instance, with Google or other services. And now we are having to adapt and adopt those into our digital services. Also, we need to acknowledge that we are going through an infodemic. So there is too much information, there is too little time. And information synthesis became an urgency for many of us. And these generative language models, like the large language models, they are being used to try to achieve this goal of achieving reliable information in layers of complexity. What I mean by that, like when we are looking, when we are looking for some information, we want to do it in a quick way, in a simple way. And we ourselves are as users, we would like to rapidly be able to distinguish between relevant and irrelevant information. So in many ways, this format of search and retrieval is a sort of a model and a goal for many digital libraries. So our ability to pose a question to the database in using natural language, meaning the way we talk and the way we speak and the way that we usually communicate. So we use natural language to pose a question to the library search prompt, and we expect to have a clear response to that question, but with access to reference and different layers of the information. That is sort of is guiding most of the development services in terms of the information in the future of the development of digital libraries today. But this is not only this is only part of the story, because this is already happening, right? So we are talking about incorporation of large language models. We are talking about using of quantitative models to generate better analytics and be able to guide the use and guide the services. This we are already doing, and we are already using large language models to accelerate our capacity, for instance, to code and to generate new solutions. This is all happening as we speak. But the next level that people are moving towards in terms of digital libraries is this leap from digital library to virtual library. And it's interesting to note that many years ago, more than 20 years ago, when the concept of a virtual health library was designed, they were probably thinking of digital libraries. And now, when we think of the terminology being used in terms of digital transformation, we are seeing that there is the digital platforms, and the next level are the virtual platforms. So in a way, the virtual health libraries that were born in the 90s, they are now already using the terminology of the next step of the digital transformation, which means that it's creating libraries, incorporating features of virtual reality for an immersive user experience. That is, let's say, what is now really in the edge, in the front edge of development in terms of not only libraries, but digital platforms in general, no? So people are looking to try to develop and incorporate augmented reality applications that can overlay information on physical books and spaces, also enriching the user experience. We are seeing this currently more frequently, for instance, when we go to, for instance, virtual tours in museums, where we sort of navigate the museums and we are able to really enter into the cyberspace and interact with the arts piece or the historical pieces and also the documents. And this effort is being now moved into the libraries, where there is not only the ability to access the documents in a virtual format, but also our ability to convert text in images, videos, and augmented reality, generating new possibilities for interacting with knowledge and information. If you think of those applications that are now becoming available, for instance, the one named Sora, that's a sort of a chat GPT that generates videos and can build short films to tell stories. That's a new format of conveying and communicating information. So one could imagine that we could have access to content in a virtual space in a different format that is beyond reading itself. Anyway, these are the next steps of development that people are working on the edge of the virtual reality and virtual libraries are trying to achieve and develop. Other applications that are also being incorporated in the work of librarians and advanced libraries is the Internet of Things that can automate the management of physical resources. This is particularly relevant when we think of hybrid libraries, where we have not only the digital platforms, but there is also the physical archives of books and other documents. So there are solutions that are automating the management of physical resources in this realm that we call the Internet of Things in applications to librarian sciences. Other avenues of development that we are facing are related to blockchain for authentications and privacy, particularly when we're dealing with copyrighted documents that we can lend to users for a certain period of time. And that is a more accessible way of doing it, instead of people buying the books or buying the scientific articles. You can lend them for, let's say, 24, 48 hours. But that requires an advanced level of encryptation of the information, and the blockchains can help in the authentication and also the privacy of use. Big data and analytics is something that I mentioned before, and the connectivity and network infrastructure necessary to run all of those sophisticated, advanced features of a digital transformation. But of course, there are important challenges when we think of these developments. The first one that we need to consider, I mean, I will highlight only 2 or 3 here. The digital divide, that is how in this context of advanced transformation of librarian services, we can still ensure that we have equitable access to digital technologies and resources to all users. That is a big question, no? Because if we are required, for instance, to have, if we're thinking of augmented reality at this moment, at this present time, the most advanced solutions of augmented reality require some special glasses that I'm sure you have seen it. So this is, in a way, is a fantastic resource that can provide a really immersive experience in the use and interaction in terms of library and knowledge, but it's not accessible to all. So currently, the use of, if you need some additional resources, such as augmented reality glasses, for instance, that will increase inequity in access to knowledge and information. So that is a big challenge, because it creates or accentuates digital divide in our society. There are certainly the costs associated with digital transformation. If you think of BIREME, for instance, so there is a significant investment that needs to be made in order to incorporate those advanced features. And that's only part of the story, because we have to make this big investment to change the technology and to develop and adopt solutions that are currently available. But then they come with a cost of maintaining those services operating in the long run. We can the alternative, however, the alternative of not making the changes is people preferring not to use the services, because they may find information in other platforms like Google, for instance, or other sources that are also enabling access to that information. And the other aspect of digital divide, so digital divide in the sense of there are libraries that will be able to make and to pay for the costs of the digital transformation and the incorporation of the advanced features, while others will not be able to do so. So we are accentuating the digital divide between types of libraries, if you like. And also another category of digital divide, which I think it is quite important, and it connects to the next topic that I'm going to talk, that is, we can be users, consumers of commercial large language models and other artificial intelligence applications, but we may never become developers of artificial intelligence solutions. And that is a more complicated challenge that we have. That is, how do we evolve as a profession, as a category of information scientists and IT specialists that are dealing with information, to do this technological leap that will enable us to be able to program, to code, and to develop the new solutions, not only use the ones that are provided by commercial entities. And if you think of that in terms of what that can mean, has very important consequences, particularly if you think of how the large language models are generally developed. They tend to use they tend to be centered in high-income countries, the cultures and context, and then being imported to our countries. That can mean a new sort of colonialism, in a sense, where we are going to be colonized as such by the artificial intelligence solutions from the global north. So it's very important for us, institutions that are in the global south, that or developing countries institutions, to be able to overcome this and really be able to seek for this technological independence. So this third digital divide that it has to do with skills and our ability to develop solutions. This means that affects the digital transformation of the library, but also the librarian as a profession. So the transformation of the librarian as a category of as a cadre of workers. No, the conventional librarian is now required to transform into a specialist in information sciences, including advanced information technology and artificial intelligence. That is a super big challenge for many of us and for the institutions that are preparing librarians to enter in the new market of information science. Very well. So I sort of posed the panorama, and I will now go quickly what we are doing. I know that we are about to finish our time, but I wanted to tell you what we are doing in terms of the digital transformation of BIREME and the virtual health library. So we are really looking at a new generation of information products that are looking at some attributes of the 4.0 industry, particularly the personalization of information solutions, trying to look for real-time data, the importance of mobility, interconnectivity, security, automation, and also collaboration. So these are features that should guide the development of new information products in this new industry that we are living. No? And also looking at the process in the library. No? If you think of harvesting, indexing, publishing the database, no? The search and retrieving information and generating derivatives, how do we incorporate those technologies into the day-to-day operation? And for instance, here, what some of the challenges relate to harvesting and collecting the documents is particularly when we look at enriching document metadata and improving the search capabilities. Indexation also, because the indexation is changing very quickly from the control terminology that we are used to, web semantics and other approaches to be able to tag, mark, and retrieve the information that we are looking for. And also publish or retrieve, search and retrieve the information using a natural language, presenting narrative synthesis, and the continuous learning optimization to enhance user experience. We are really looking to incorporate those solutions in a new family of information products that we are already developing and should be progressively released in 2025, particularly in 2026, because it takes some time for us to incorporate and develop those solutions. But we are in this process of developing those. And this has been accelerated and is being accelerated by the use of instrumental artificial intelligence, particularly when we think of, for instance, Copilot or ChatGPT for coders and developers, where we use solutions to leverage the capacity of our librarians and developers to accelerate the development of new digital information products. So in conclusion, the future of digital libraries is a blend of tradition and innovation. This digital transformation may contribute to access to knowledge and to its use, but it comes with substantial challenges. There's always the risk of the digital divide that we need to find ways to overcome. And something that I wanted to highlight here is the challenges to the librarians in general, no, in terms of the skills and the transformation of the skill set to the new reality that we are facing. With this slide, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for the invitation, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'll be here to talk to you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Dr. Souza and Ms. Barretto. I mean, I would like to say that it was quite a comprehensive discussion on showing us how this topic has relevance and opportunity for virtual health libraries. Thank you very much. I now turn the responsibilities over to the co-chair, Ms. Niala Dwarika-Bhagat, who will share with us the questions. I saw some questions being deposited in the chat already. So over to you, Niala, to pose the question to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayaana. Thank you, Ayaana, and good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, presenters. This was a very interesting and riveting presentation, I must say. Every slide was very informative and also reads like a presentation in itself. So now let's move on to the questions in the chat. So the first question is from Ms. Alleyne Richardson-Drakes. Question: not all libraries are prepared for the fourth revolution, especially in the Caribbean. Do you see this as a disadvantage in our ability to provide timely scientific information for research purposes?
Yeah, no, thank you, Arlene. And I think your question is not only for the Caribbean. I think we are talking particularly developing countries in general, okay? Because I think what we are seeing is this wonderful family of resources that are being made available. For instance, the ChatGPT, if you like, or BERT, or a number of solutions that are sort of enticing our attention and the attention of the users. And that put us under a big pressure because it's sort of a challenge for us to try to also join this club, no, to be able to be part of this conversation, given the risk of us becoming like obsolete and people not coming to our platforms or our services because they are going to be using illicit, for instance, another product that is out there, or anyway, other sources of information. And I think not only the Caribbean, but if our countries, we are not able to make an effort and a leap towards this, we will be again in the hands of developed country solutions that can come with their perspective of world and sort of influence us. I think that is a question for all of us, how we as a region, how we as developing countries, we are going to be able to join this conversation in terms of the new information science, the new library that we are seeing. Yeah.
Alleyne, I hope it answers your question. Right.
Yes, it does. Thank you. But we really do have to work together somehow to find what funding and everything to, as a Caribbean, to go forward, to join everyone.
Yeah, because imagine, I think you're thinking of the existing, and I'm thinking of, for instance, is the change that we are seeing is similar to when we moved from typewriters to computers. It's something similar, right? And we are in a generation that we are sort of, let's say, we are in a typewriter and we need to move to a computer. Is somewhat similar effort that needs to be made, and it's a big challenge for all of us.
Okay, thank you for that. So Next question, moving on, comes from Nadine Sinet Sikia. How can virtual health libraries leverage AI technologies to improve information retrieval and user experience in Caribbean countries like Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago?
Thank you. Marcia, whenever you want to jump in and answer those questions, please feel free, okay?
Thank you. Yeah.
I will try my best to answer, and then if please help me, Marcia.
Okay.
And see, the way I see it, we are building repositories of information, and we are striving to develop and incorporate these repositories of knowledge that we are calling virtual health libraries, and using scientific and technical information that is produced in our countries. No, that's what we are doing in a way. That's part of the mission. The other part is to enabling access to it. And I think we have very decent and very good solutions to do so at the moment. We have sophisticated databases, archives. We are doing very good indexing, and we are able to retrieve this information in a certain way using the way we do to relate to this knowledge. The problem is that there's a new generation of users that they are expecting to interact with this knowledge in a different format. If you think of our generation, the generation that is already in the market and working to build this, that's okay. I think we have good solutions and it will work. But the new generations, they are coming with an expectation to have a much user-friendly interaction with our databases that sometimes is difficult for us to provide. And even us, when we start to get used to other ways of interacting with information, if you start for instance, to go to Google and just type there your question, and they'll come up with some answers that are sufficient for you. Or if you, instead of going through documents, you go through, for instance, you go to YouTube and you look for a video that has the same information that you're looking for. Many people are just shifting the way that they are relating to information. And I think our challenge is to try to follow this trend. And of course, these artificial intelligence solutions, they may help us doing so. And I think that is the challenge that we have, no? Because now we have the resources or the technology solutions to be able to transform the content in different formats, to produce from text to generate videos. All of this is happening and is doable. The question is whether we will be able to do it in our libraries. I think that is the big question, and whether we will be able to do so. No?
Thank you, Dr. Souza. Nadine, yes?
Yes,
I hope
yes,
this answers the question.
yes,
And
it
Nadine
does.
has 3 questions. So Nadine's next question is, how can virtual health libraries in the Caribbean support continuous learning and professional development among healthcare professionals?
Marcia, I'll leave that to you.
Thank you. Well, I think that working together in technical cooperation with BIREME, we can support all this continuous learning and professional development among healthcare professionals, because we develop products and services that are are accessible for all kind of users, and specifically for professional health professional people. We are now also working to develop some information products that are like have a more like a suitable way to talk to. So in this way, I think that with the products and services that we develop, and if we work on together to make it available also to the Caribbean, not only for Latin America, but also to Caribbean, because we are a region, right? And we work together since a long time, as I told you in the first slides. So I think this will help us in this continuous learning and development of professionals. Okay.
Anybody wants to add anything to this element of continuous learning?
Excuse me?
I know, I was just asking if anyone wants to add any the information to this question regarding continuous learning among professionals as it relates to virtual health libraries.
I would like to jump in a little bit here. Even us in this forum, we having this session here is a way for us to benefit as well. And as it relates to the fourth generation, I'm certain that many people who are in this forum is getting a new understanding of how it is applicable, because we're always saying about AI, but not really understanding how it will be applicable in the sense of virtual health libraries. You know, we see it as an out there rather than an in here type of idea. But here we are gathered together, learning this information and gathering this information, so we are a little more informed on how it's very much relevant to us. And I will also make a plug to let us always be involved and participate in sessions similar to these, where it is we can share and learn information of this nature. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Ayaana.
Okay.
Also to note, Ms. Avril Reed has made a suggestion, and this is for a workshop at ACURIL 2025, or a continuing education module with focus on these new products and technologies, trends and solutions, which will contribute to the required transformation of the librarian and adapt to these new technologies. And as Dr. Souza referred to them, the global mega change of digital transformation as it relates to Industry 4.0. And there is a question about Industry 4.0. But before that, Ms. Sinat's third question is, what measures should be taken to ensure data privacy and security when utilizing AI technologies in virtual health libraries?
Well, thank you. Thank you. This question about privacy and data is quite important, because with the integration of the digital platforms, for instance, one of the big concerns has to do with intellectual property. For instance, how do we share content that is protected by intellectual property rights? That's one big question, and developing models of us sharing this content in a way that is respectful to IP rights. This is one. The second is, as we evolve with the development of personalized services, and this is particularly one feature of advanced digital products, that is, we are able to customize, to personalize your experience. Let's say that, for instance, if you are navigating in a certain library and you create, for instance, a sort of you put your name there, you put your email, and then the library starts to build the history of your access, your searches, and what kind of documents you are interested, what kind of documents that you download, for instance, how long do you take looking at different types of information. So that creates a sort of a portfolio of information of your preferences and of using and relate to information. That can be quite useful for the library, for the digital platform to forecast what would be your future interests in the future. For instance, if I'm always looking into, for instance, let me take an example. If I'm a medical doctor and I come to the library and I start to look at, for instance, child diseases or child conditions, and start creating a history of use based on these preferences. One day I come to the library and have already in the bottom of the search prompt, for instance, selected content that has to do with my preferences. Right? We see this all the times when we use it, Google and other platforms like Netflix or Amazon, etc. So this is not something new, but this is quite, let's say, potentially private information, because first, this can be marketed. If people know what kind of preference do I have, I can become a target of specific, for instance, publishers that may come to my email offering me products that may or may not interest me. So that's a big concern in terms of how do we protect the data of our users if we create such a database. And protecting that information is something that is quite important, but also quite risky, because if you accumulate that sort of information, also creates some responsibility, because people, for instance, they tend to use the same password in different services. So if someone comes and figures out, okay, your password at the virtual health library is 1234 X, for instance, they may try to use this in other services and may be successful and have access to other information that you have. So that's the sort of concern that we have when we start dealing with this sort of information. How do we protect that information as well? No?
Yes, and just complementing, in terms of IT infrastructure, it is very important to maintain everything very updated and taking care of all the security updated policies to ensure that our portals and sites and databases and everything are really updated and protected. So I know that we are talking about the contents, right? The information that we have, but the information are put in some place, and this place is the infrastructure, the IT infrastructure. So it's very important not only to be aware of all these points that Dr. Souza talked about, but also it's important to be aware that the information, the IT infrastructure is a very important point in all of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barretto. Thank you also to Nadine Sinet-Sequia for her 3 questions, which were very thought-provoking, and I hope that the responses did, answer the questions. The next question comes from Ms. Alleyne. The next question comes from Ms. Alleyne Monserin, and she asks, can you explain the concept of information 4.0? But I think that might, what the terminology used was industry 4.0. Is that correct, Ms. Monserin?
That's correct. The industry 4.0. And well, if you think of first, let's consider the information industry as a type of industry where we process information from certain sources, and we have as product information products on the other side, right? And how do we distribute that? And so it's understood as an industry, the information industry. And that parallels the general attributes of industries in general. And I will try to summarize in a very simple way here. So the first wave of the industry, it was centered around manual processes. For instance, think of the books when they were copied by priests one after the other one, and that was essentially in a very artisanal way of developing those materials and distributing and then. So it took centuries for that type of industry to move to the next phase where we start to incorporate mechanical machines or things that could expedite this. And that creates sort of the second, the industry 2.0 of information industry. And if you think this transition took place over centuries, if you think in the past, no, from how we move from the manual process into a large scale production of books, for instance, right? We had centuries to transition from one way to another, and all the process that accompanied to this. So 2.0 is essentially the mechanical processes and the machines that were electrical or steam powered, all of those processes. The third wave, when it comes with the development of the electronics and we start to incorporate digital process. So for instance, when we moved to digital information products, we were in the 3.0 information industries. The standard digital libraries are 3.0 information industry products, right? And the fourth generation is when we start to incorporate artificial intelligence features, meaning that we are giving this next step where a lot of decisions and a lot of capacities is being developed and in a specific way overcomes our human capacity. And that is the big challenge that we are seeing. We don't know exactly how it will end, if we're going to have a very fast information, 4.0 information number of years for us to develop to the what would be like the 5.0, where we have fully intelligent technology that can really overcome us. Some people in the industry, they say that will happen in maybe 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years. So we are in this phase of transition where we are seeing the large language models that are in specific ways, they are already more able than us to generate text, for instance, to summarize information or to process numbers. So in a specialized way, these artificial intelligence applications, they overcome our capacity. But there is nothing that is bringing all of this together and can overcome us. We are still in charge. But so the industry 4.0 is the industry where we are seeing the incorporation of those advanced solutions like ChatGPT, large language models, where instead of, let's say, if I want to look for a certain information in my database, in the 3.0 information, I will use control terminology. I will use, for instance, unit terms, and we relate to them like and or the Boolean operators, for instance. I'm fully in charge of that. When I'm using a 4.0 application, I just ask the question and they will convert and make it happen in a certain way. Or if I can summarize the text and summarize a large number of texts into one page, for instance. This is the type of application that we are talking about. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, participants, for all your questions. And if President Souza would like to make any remarks at this point? Okay, so President Souza, are you here? Okay, he may have stepped away, so I will now hand you over to the chair, Ms. Alleyne Cumberbatch, who will continue the proceedings. Ayaana?
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Dwarika-Bhagat. And thank you very much for sharing your questions and perspectives. I certainly benefited from what was discussed here, and I hope that you too would have benefited in the same way. So at this time, the chair and co-chair would like to have a little giveaway. This giveaway, because the ACURIL conference is being held in Guyana, this giveaway is for the people from Guyana who have joined this session, and you have a chance to win a token. Actually, Ms. Dwarika-Bhagat, do you mind if I show them the token that we have for them?
No, you may proceed.
I may proceed. Okay, so we have. I wonder if you all see that. Okay, it is a 2-in-1 rechargeable 8-inch fan and lamp that we are giving away to the person from Guyana, the participant from Guyana, who is in the session still. We are going to put a question in the chat, and the first person from Guyana who is able to answer that question will receive this prize. Okay, so let me first put the question in the chat. Not a hard question at all. All right. ACURIL LIII 2024 will take place on May 12th to 16th in Georgetown, Guyana. What does LIII stand for? Okay, so I'm going to, don't put your question in anything yet. I'm going to put a link for you to put your answer. And I will also pass that in the chat. And Randy.
Is this responding from Guyana?
I don't think Randy is from Guyana. Okay, so I am going to be on the back end looking to see the person from Guyana who has answered the question. All right, I'm going to give it just 2 more minutes because I don't think that there are more than, let's see. All right.
Okay, am I seeing the link?
Sorry, are you seeing the link?
No, I'm not seeing the link, Chair.
Yes, I put in the link in the Menti. President is back, by the way, Niala, so we will ask the president to share some closing remarks for us, okay?
Yes, while you sort out the link, I'm not seeing it at my end.
You're not seeing it? Everyone else seeing the link by chance? Just confirm it for me.
Okay, the executive secretary has just posted.
She
the
just
link.
posted it? Okay, all right, great. Okay. All right, so I see one response. And that came from Somati. Somati, are you in? Well, you have to be in because you did.
She is in. Miss Somati Sairanji is in.
She answered here and she answered on the link. So Somati, you win the prize.
But Miss Somati has to confirm that she's from Guyana.
Oh, how do we do that, Ms. Dwarika-Bhagat?
We can ask her nicely. So she has responded.
She said, yes, I am from Guyana.
Persons who will be in Guyana are not
Not from Guyana.
the
But thank
persons
you very
traveling to
much.
Guyana not eligible.
There you go, that's right. Thank you, Randy, for participating. Okay, so thank you very much for indulging us in our little giveaway, and I hand the proceedings over just for a bit to our president, and following that will be the vote of thanks by Ms. Niala Dwarika-Bhagat.
Very well. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for earlier. I was on the road. I had to park. Thank you for the two presenters, Mrs. Barretto and Mr. Souza. Thank you for our two co-chairs. So this was a very informative session. We know that the presentation is well related to the large language model and to AI into the virtual health libraries. So I'm sure everybody, all the participants learned a lot. So thank you so much for the session, and I look forward to seeing you in another session and hopefully in Guyana next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, President Tuse. I will now deliver the vote of thanks, and it is indeed my pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks today. I would like to start off by recognizing and thanking the President of ACURIL, Mr. Eric Tuse, and the ACURIL executive for allowing us to not only host this event, but also for providing the platform to facilitate today's session. And speaking of today's session, I think we can all agree that the session from both Ms. Barretto and Mr. Souza and Dr. Souza were very, very stimulating and provided a lot of food for thought. And like I said before, every slide in itself seemed to be an element of research, a research paper, a poster, and many terms and to cogitate on. So a heartfelt thanks to our presenters from the Latin American and the Caribbean Center on Health Sciences Information, BIREME, Dr. J.P. Souza and Mrs. Marcia Barretto. Thank you both for taking the time and agreeing to share invaluable information with us. And on the eve of ACURIL's 53rd conference, I can say with confidence that for those of us who are attending, that we are 100% positioned to think critically about global megatrends, Industry 4.0, and how our libraries and librarians will adapt to the mega changes around us. Special thank you to the head of the Medical Sciences Library at the University of the West Indies for her support to the librarians. And last, but by no means least, I thank you, the participants, for being such a gracious, attentive, and inquiring audience during this pre-conference session, and for showing your support to the ACURIL Virtual Health Libraries of the Caribbean Content Area Roundtable. On behalf of myself and my chair, I thank you all, and I wish you all a good day. And for those of you traveling to Guyana, bon voyage, and do enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dwarika-Bhagat. Before you leave, I want you to check your chat. In the chat, sorry, there's a link that you a feedback link you'd like you to respond to. So before you leave, please take a cut and paste and respond to the link as it is posted. Thank you very much. And I do wish each and every one of you a wonderful rest of evening. And for those who are going to the Guyana conference, the ACURIL conference in Guyana, have a wonderful conference experience. Take care all. Good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Niala.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
I am here, Ayaana.
Yes, you just hang back for a while, that's okay.
Sure.
Stop your recording.